Welcome to another edition of the Pacers Pride Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Emerson, and alongside me, as always, my good friend and co-host, Dylan Dienhart. Dylan, the weather is finally, thank God, taking a turn for the better, I would hope, for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, fingers crossed, but it's the first time I wore shorts outside and was comfortable, not like instant hypothermia, so.
It's also hammock season here at
God.
Ball State. I mean, just with the...
Once it's above 50 degrees, there's like 50 bajillion hammocks all over the quad, in the middle, and the university green and everything. But yeah.
Yeah, it's... Weather is starting to heat up finally, thank God, and just... wish the Pacers would kind of go with the weather change.
There it is,
I do that, but let's hope they kind of heat up as the playoffs are. Next weekend, I believe. Yeah. So Pacers still are in the 5th spot and basically pretty much locked into that spot after the Boston game.
We will be playing Boston.
Yeah, which we're going to be playing Boston, we know that, but Boston after the game on Friday, which we're going to get into later, has basically, I think they can basically clinch it with a win.
It's a win and a Pacers loss.
Oh, okay, so we have to win out and Boston has to lose out. And Boston plays, what we say?
Magic and the Wizards.
The Magic, who knows the way they're playing, but the Wizards, that's pretty much a guaranteed win. So we'll probably be the 5th seed. But we're going to get into how the Pacers are basically the 5th seed, starting with the game against the Orlando Magic, which I have no idea why. The Orlando Magic just seem to have our number, and it's really an odd thing to say, I guess, because granted, we talked about last week, they're fighting for that. The 6 through 8 in the East is just ridiculous right now with, I think, Orlando has the 6, I believe, but it's a jumbled mess down there, I know that much.
Yeah. I think they do control the 6 because we swept the Pistons, so I think that means that they are in the 6th spot in the Pistons. I think
the Nets and the Magic are tied for the 6th, and Detroit is currently in the 8th, but they're only a half game back of Brooklyn and Orlando.
And Miami's a game back of Detroit?
Miami is a game back of Detroit, yes. Okay. So battle, that's 4 teams for 3 spots. It's gonna be a fun thing to watch out for. So, but to get into the game, the Pacers just the defense was not, and kind of been the theme here recently, which is rare. The Pacers defense has kind of not been where it needs to be. Just allowing 121 points is not the Pacer norm when we're used to seeing this team hold opponents to usually under 100 or like right at 100. Just overall, I mean, you look at the box score and Aaron Gordon, just they're starters for the most part, and the key was I don't know what it is about the Pacers bench, but they sometimes just get outplayed.
Yeah.
Because you look at the Magic bench had 20, 30.
I think we did cover this game last week, so I remember making the point about Magic had only 2 players not score in double figures, but they both had 9.
Yeah, we talk about this?
I feel like we did cover this game, which I don't know why we did, but I remember at least it had happened. Oh, because it was Saturday.
Did this game happen Saturday?
It happened Saturday, so we must have covered it on Sunday. So.
Whoops, that's a mistake on our part.
Yeah, it's my apologies. But
that's all good. Well, to tell you again, the Pacers lost the Magic, but so we'll move ahead now to both Detroit games, which the Pacers won, in pretty solid fashion. Both of these games, the Pistons did not have Blake Griffin, so that most definitely helped. But the Pacers could counter saying we didn't have Darren Collison or we didn't have Wesley Matthews because they have both been battling some injuries. DC, I think, is going to play tonight from what I've been hearing.
I think Wesley was good for the Boston game, wasn't he? Because it was just a hamstring.
And Wes Matthews played in the Boston game, so hopefully we'll be at full strength tonight against Brooklyn. But the Pacers beat the Pistons in Indy, 111-102. This was the back-to-back not back to back, but the home and away series that they like to do. And just a really if you look at the box score, like once again, no one really stood out in terms of points for the Pacers, but you know what? Everyone contributed. Pacers had 7 guys in double figures, which they like to do a lot. Led by the 19 and 9 boards of Thaddeus Young. Bogey had 19 as well. Miles had 5 blocked shots. He was blocking Drummond left and right. It was beautiful to watch. And then Sabonis had 18 and 12 off the bench. So it was just a not phenomenal really, but I don't know why I went with that word. Yeah. And like we talked about before, just we needed to keep winning games up until the Boston game, but it didn't happen. Well, the Boston game, we kind of fell apart, but good to see Pacers get both of these wins against the Pistons.
The one thing that stood out to me is the continuation of Aaron Holiday, basically, at least from the box score perspective, outperforming Corey Joseph. He had in his plus or minus, he had plus 16 to Corey Joseph's -1. He outscored him 10-4. He had 2 more assists than Kojo. The exact same, or he had at least 1 more turnover, which was the only real downside. But he shot the ball better, had more assists, and I just continue to see I am continued to be shocked that Aaron Holiday doesn't get more minutes in this rotation. Granted, he probably got Kojo's backup minutes because DC was out, which I think he should be getting maybe Kojo's minutes altogether, but that's another story. But also was impressed with Tyreek. He had all 4 of his shots were from the 3-point line and was 4-6 from 3. So it's good to see him heating up from beyond, because that's what we need in the bench specifically. So
talk about Aaron. To go off your point of Aaron Holiday, had 10 points, only took 4 shots. Yeah. So he's very efficient.
He missed 1 shot and 2 free throws.
3 of 4, or 2 of 4 from the foul line. That's all right. I'm not gonna harp a rookie on foul shooting. That can be worked on, but just very efficient. Doug McDermott played a good game at home.
Yeah, another back to back.
Yeah,
him in the Magic game and now the Pistons game. So maybe Banker's Life is finally becoming home for him.
Let's hope it continues tonight. Sabonis, like we said, just doing his typical thing of 18 and 12 off the bench.
Did foul out.
I mean, that's.
I feel like Sabonis always ends up in the 4 and 5 personal foul range every game.
It's not that big of a deal if you ask me. One thing Pacers are going to have to cut down on, 17 turnovers, but thankfully they were able to hold off that and pull out the 111-102 victory. Wayne Ellington had a really good game for Detroit.
Yeah.
And then Reggie Jackson their backcourt played phenomenal. Andre Drummond, he had 18 and 17, but he has 8 of 18. That was the key. Like I said, great job by Miles. And probably Domas as well, when they were both out there just containing Andre Drummond.
We did get a GR sighting back home in Indianapolis. Yeah, he got 13 minutes. Played a good game.
Yeah, 7 points for GR. It's just unfortunate that it didn't work out, because I really like GR3, but just wish him nothing but the best in Detroit. But Detroit is, like we talked about, battling for that final spot, so this didn't help them I think they're on a bit of a losing streak, actually. Yeah, they're on a 3-game losing streak, which
it's not
how you want to end the year, but
especially when you're not clinched into a playoff spot.
Yeah, the game in Detroit, after the second game when they played the Pacers, I believe he had 45 points against the Thunder and had 9 threes I saw, but they still lost. So, but yeah, Detroit, like we talked about, was battling. And we're going to get into the next Detroit game, which the Pacers also won by, if I can get back to
89.
This was
19.
This was a much more defensive type of game we've liked to see from the Pacers, especially
away from Banker's Life.
Yeah, exactly. held the Pistons to only 38% shooting, which if you hold a team to that, they're most likely not going to play well.
Yeah.
But
unless they hold you to 38% shooting, which we've seen the Pacers have happened to be the Pacers before. So
yeah, so this game, Thad has really stepped up his play as of late, which I love to see. Had 21, was the leading scorer. We've continued to talk about Miles and his continued improvement on the offensive end, and it's really, really good to see, especially come playoff time, because we're going to need that. We're going to need him, Bogey, and Thad, basically. The three guys that we're going to probably rely on to step up and score the basketball consistently, and it's really good to see Miles kind of, get it going on the offensive end.
And I know it's somewhat future speaking, but I'm excited to see if this Miles Turner carry over to when Victor's back.
Right.
Because I'd be interested to see how this kind of because when Victor's been playing, Miles has never been this consistent of a double point scorer and like this much of a force on the offensive end. So I'd be interested to see how that dynamic works when there's a fully healthy Victor Oladipo in the lineup and he's the primary scoring option. Then we also have a Bojan and now a Miles Turner. So
Right.
When Victor's coming back, I think this could be a very scary team if they perform the same way.
Exactly. And people who continue to harp on Miles Turner, I'd say the dude's only 23 years old.
Exactly.
He hasn't, in my opinion, he hasn't touched his prime yet.
No.
So
I think what we're seeing right here from him over this last week or month and a half is more so what I think his prime is going to be.
Right. And I'm totally in agreement with you. And just too much pressure being put on him early to kind of perform on the offensive end.
Yeah, I think he's kind of gotten like almost not like ignored, but like overlooked in terms of like Pacers' directment of hate. It's more going towards Tyreek Evans and Kojo at the moment, which means Miles Turner's like, I can skate under the radar and actually perform without all the scrutiny. So
yeah, he's just like I said, to see him perform this well consistently on the offensive end, because we knew Pacers fans knows he's capable of doing it.
Yeah,
it's just seeing him perform on a consistent level.
I think it was just about confidence. He would be reluctant to take that outside shot, but now every time he gets it, he seems like, all right, I'm going to take this shot.
Yeah, he's not hesitant anymore, which is really good to see. Sabonis also had, we keep talking about Sabonis having a double-double, 15 and 13, another good. Doug McDermott, he's on the road, so we know he's going to play well.
Yeah.
Had 14 off the bench. Aaron Holiday didn't shoot the ball well, but still, I know Dylan. I talk about it every show. You love your plus minus, so he's plus 16, so he is still effective.
And I would say I think
he's out on the court.
Kojo got the best of him because he did get 12 assists in this game. So, but Aaron Holiday did get 6.
I'm about to say Holiday had 6 assists while he was out there, so he wasn't shooting the ball well, like I said, but at least he was distributing and finding his teammates, which is something.
2 steals.
Something I remember when we did the draft recap over the summer or whatever, and we talked about that was one of the areas where we like to see him improve a little bit as a distributor, and it's good to see him finally distribute the ball as well as contribute with 7 points. So Pacers just got the job done as usual. Unlike in the Magic loss, we held the Detroit. Granted, the Detroit bench is nowhere. It's not anything to. No offense to GR. He didn't play in this game though.
Boston was without Marcus Morris and Jaylen Brown in this game. So that did affect that. It was like, Boston, okay, maybe
not in this game.
Yeah, I thought that's what the injury report was.
Well, yeah, but we're not talking about the Boston game right now.
Oh, I thought you moved over to the Boston game. My bad.
No, but yeah, they didn't play.
I jumped the gun.
Yeah, it's fine. But, I think one of the biggest things, 11 of 41 from 3 for Detroit. Yeah. So thank God those threes weren't falling.
It's a D'Antoni offense if I've ever heard one.
Andre Drummond, he kind of bounced back in this one. Had 28 and 19 rebounds.
Yeah, Wayne Ellington had two good back-to-back games against the Pacers.
I don't know what Thon Maker took 3 threes, was 0 of 3. I know he can kind of hit them.
I think that it's in his game. He just had a very off game.
I'm sorry, but when you're, what, 7'2"?
And a power forward.
7'1", so. But still.
Is he taller than Drummond?
He's 7'1", and Andre is, I know Andre's 6'11".
They have a taller player playing at power forward, which always makes me
Well,
laugh.
because I think Thon Maker likes to play out more in mid-range and three, and because they know I don't think Thon can rebound quite as well as Andre Drummond.
I don't think anybody in the league can rebound quite as good.
Right. So, but yeah, it was a good 2-game series for the Pacers, just to kind of build their confidence going into the Boston game and
seemingly build their confidence.
Yeah, well, we would hope that they would build their confidence, but it didn't seem that way at all. I called this the most important game of the year. I think most Pacer fans felt that way as well. Getting the Celtics at home, Dylan, we both felt kind of good going into this game.
Especially I figure you were going to say that, especially after the away game where Pacers really were in the game at TD Garden against the Celtics for all the way to the end until a defensive miscue cost the game. But yeah, going into this, I'm like, okay, so they lost by 2 in TD Garden, which is understandable. It's TD Garden. It's a great home court advantage. Right. But now coming back to Bankers Life, where we also have a decent home court advantage, I'm like, okay, we probably stand a better chance of pulling this one out. And, man, were we wrong.
Yeah, it was just the first half, I was a little, especially after the first quarter, I was at work and I was just keeping tabs on it. I saw that I kind of felt optimistic because I wasn't watching the game per se, but I saw we were only down, I believe, 11 points, and I was like, okay, that Pacers have come back from worse. So I kind of felt a little, I'm like, all right, they can continue to grind away and maybe pull out a win that it wasn't even. The Celtics in the box score doesn't say it, really, but I mean you outscore them by 6.
Gordon Hayward was perfect from the field.
Yeah, Gordon Hayward. I watched the second half. Gordon Hayward did not miss.
Yeah,
and literally, I don't think
he was 9 of 9.
Yeah, did not miss. So it was. I believe he was Tatum was their leading scorer, but Hayward had the better game off the bench. And just the Celtics, they proved why they're going to be a force in the playoffs.
They just use so many people.
They really do. I think most of these guys, though, got like Ojale, Yabusele?
Yeah, Yabusele, I think.
No idea. Terry Rozier only played 7 minutes?
Yeah, they gave more minutes to Wanamaker, which I was surprised about. I don't know if turmoil within the organization.
I don't know if Rozier's hurt.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not a Celtics insider, but just the Pacers, like we kind of talked about, I thought the offense for the most part was fine. Just the Pacers could not get a stop. Pacers were scoring for the most part with the Celtics, but they could not get a stop on the defensive end. Because I remember to start this, especially at the beginning of the second half, the Pacers came out, hit, I think, 2 threes, a layup, and were starting to find some rhythm on offense. But on defense, Celtics were matching them basically. Yeah. And when you're down double digits, you have to rely on your defense to get stops, and it just didn't happen. Like we said, we were kind of confident going in, but so another question: does this change your thoughts? Like, because we know we're going to see them in the playoffs, it's basically a guarantee at this point.
Yeah.
Does this change your thoughts at all on how the series can potentially go? Or
I still have a feeling that this series might go deep, at least like 6 or 7 games. But I'm not sure. After this, it doesn't make me confident that the Pacers can hold down in home court. Granted, we're going to have to go to TD Garden first 2 games, and if we steal one, then the advantage is flipped immediately to our favor. But it's going to take a monumental effort to try to beat the Celtics team. So I think they're finally starting to realize what they need to do to win, or they've just been coasting to the finish so far,
Right.
and now they're like, all right, cracks knuckles, and like, here we go, and then they take over the East by storm. But it's going to be a tough series. I never really wanted to face Boston in the first place because I knew Boston in the playoffs is one of the most difficult teams to beat. So
Yeah, it just sucks the way it happened with Pacers. They had the 3, and then slowly
they would have had maybe
the difficult schedule is
plus Oladipo going down, and it's
just not the. But take nothing. I'm still gonna take nothing away from this team, by any means, because
they fought when they could have easily just given up.
And I'm still holding a little bit of optimism because look what happened last year. People were saying, "Oh, Cavs in 4, Cavs are going to sweep the Pacers. Cavs in 5, whatever." And we took LeBron to the brink of elimination.
We were the only team to bring him to this Game 7 in the Eastern.
So I'm holding out a little bit of hope that they can kind of. But granted, that was with Vic. So I don't know. Like I'm still holding a little bit of optimism. I've been saying I think Boston maybe wins this series in 6. We can maybe next.
Well, I think we'll probably have a game in our pocket by the time we do our next show.
Right.
But, yeah.
So this is the series we're gonna see. I probably say Boston in 6. I could see us getting 2 games, but it's just
they're probably both gonna be at home.
Right.
If I had to guess.
So it's gonna be difficult, but it is what it is. You have to play the hand you're dealt, and just kind of take it one game at a time, and say don't even burn the tape of this game. Basically, is what I would do, because just couldn't really do much on the offensive. They scored 97 points, but on the defensive end is where the Pacers pride themselves, and allowing 117. Granted, the Celtics are high-powered offense. And like what you mentioned, this was without Jaylen Brown and without Marcus Morris. So they played a really good game. And credit to the Celtics with just having that much depth. They're like you said, they play a lot of people, and it can be hard to beat. So
and don't they have like a lottery pick this year, like a guaranteed lottery pick?
Is this may be the last? Are they out of the Nets trade?
I'm going to look it up, but I'm pretty sure that they have a lottery pick. Like, they have a protected lottery pick in this year's draft.
It still may be... This may be the last year of that horrendous trade with the Nets. The Nets, that sent KG and Paul Pierce to Brooklyn and everything. And speaking of the Nets, that's kind of a really good transition to go to. The Pacers will have their final home game of the year. Were you able to find it?
I think they have the 9th pick. I'm not sure, or I'm not entirely convinced on that. I'm trying to find a mock draft that'll just tell me where.
Right.
But yeah, keep going.
But yeah, the Pacers will have, like I said, their final home game of the year tonight. Fan appreciation night inside Bankers Life Fieldhouse, as they will play the Brooklyn Nets. I'm repping my Vic jersey because I will be at that game. That's where I'm going to be headed here this afternoon. Yeah.
So Boston has Sacramento Kings top 1 protected pick.
Top 1?
That's what it says. And they have Memphis Grizzlies. If the pick falls out of the top 8, I don't think they get it. And they have the Los Angeles Clippers, but if that falls out of the top 14, I don't think they get it or something. That's what it says in parentheses. It says LA Clippers, and then parentheses, if pick falls out outside top 14, and then Memphis Grizzlies in parentheses, if pick falls out of top 8. So I don't know what that means.
They could have potentially...
And then their own pick.
Right. So they could potentially have a lot of picks, depending on how the lottery goes.
God, I hate the Celtics.
But the Brooklyn Nets coming in to face the Pacers. I'm going to get to see D'Angelo Russell, former Ohio State Buckeye. Let's go. Hopefully he doesn't kill us too hard.
Yeah.
We were talking a little bit before the show, according to ESPN, which the always reliable ESPN injury report, has Darren Collison out. But like I said, I was seeing something this morning. I think it was a press conference with Nate, or just him. They asking about DC's availability. And I think he said they'll try and give him the good, or be able to play, is what I was basically trying to say. So Nets versus Pacers tonight. I think Pacers. It's going to be a close game, in my opinion, because the Nets are one of the most. I think they're one of the best stories of basketball this year, to be quite honest, because the Nets have always been kind of, that laughing stock of,
especially the GMs and how they managed they traded for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and Jason Terry all in 1 year, even though they were like 40 years old.
Yeah, and to see them go out and win 40 games, be the 6th seed in the East is pretty impressive. Obviously, being led by D'Angelo Russell, guys like Spencer Dinwiddie coming off the bench, I believe, I would assume. Karis LeVert, Joe Harris won the 3-point contest, so we know that man can shoot. Veterans like Damari Carroll, Jared Allen, can grab 15, 16 boards if he wants to on the offensive end. They have, D'Angelo Russell is their guy, but outside of that, they really don't have that big name guy, but they have lots of really solid players that can give any team any trouble on any given night.
Yeah. And something to look out for. They are 2-5 over the last 5, but the 2 wins are against Boston and Milwaukee. And the Milwaukee
something we couldn't do.
Yeah, and the Milwaukee game was at Milwaukee too. So they can hang with the big boys of the East. So we shouldn't take this game at all for granted.
Right.
So because they have the capacity to come in and beat a very good team, in which we are. But I mean, within reason. But
right. And I'm looking at the box score from Milwaukee.
Yeah.
The final score from that, Nets won in regulation, 133 to 128.
Yeah.
They hit 19 of 45 threes.
Eric Bledsoe had 33 points, but D'Angelo had 25.
Karis LeVert had 24 off the bench. So their starting lineup, from what I'm seeing from this box score, Russell, Joe Harris, Damari Carroll, Karuk?
I believe it's Karuk. And he's a international player that I think they just got rights to.
Oh, okay. And then Jared Allen. So I'm still saying the Pacers grind out a win. Like I said, I think it's going to be a bit close. With the Nets are locked into the.
I don't think they have not clinched a spot. I think we are the last team that has clinched a playoff spot in the East.
NBA standings. I know they're. Yeah, because as we talked about, they're along with them, Orlando and Detroit. They're one of the teams battling. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be tough.
They will have something to play for.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
So I think their Pacers will grind out a win. I'd say a 6-7 point win would probably be reasonable.
I could go along with that. I think, especially since it's Fan Appreciation Night, which is like the NBA equivalent of like Senior Night.
Right.
So
if you haven't been to Fan Appreciation Night, which I went last year also, and that's one of the main reasons that I was looking to go this year as well. What they do after the game is really cool. They just stay after. They have boxes of like just little basketball or whatever that they just sign and just start chucking into the stands, and it's a really good opportunity to get I think they stay around for pictures if you're that close to the court, which I
think they do it beforehand too. They have booths where all the players sit along the ring of Banker's Life.
Well, if that's the case, then I'm gonna try and.
I think that's what they did last year. You could take a picture with all the athletes and bring something.
I will most definitely try, and try and get something signed, or I don't know, but it's gonna be a good night. Obviously the Pacers. I think it's one of the Pacers have a 29-11 record at home, which is it's top 4 in the East. Obviously, we have the top 3 teams of Milwaukee, Toronto, and Philly. So formidable opponent. We always play well at home, and I'm hoping that they can go out with their last game of the year with a win.
Build some confidence.
Right. And just bottle it up and take it with you into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So you're predicting a win as well?
I am.
assume?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same margin of victory
Right.
too.
I don't see this being. I'd hope maybe it'd be a blowout.
Yeah,
and maybe build some confidence.
I'm gonna stay realistic.
Yeah. Hopefully they channel like the energy from the Denver Nuggets game a few weeks ago when they absolutely blew the doors off of them. But we'll take a win regardless at this point. And the Pacers will close out the regular season on the road in Atlanta as they play the Atlanta Hawks. I don't think there's much to discuss here besides the fact that
cross your fingers and hope that Trae Young does not hit a game-winning shot.
Guard the hell out of Trae Young.
Yeah.
That's literally your game plan. Send all 5 guys at Trae Young.
Yeah.
I mean, because I think he started to. I may even give him my nod for Rookie of the Year over Doncic.
Yeah, I think I would just because of what he's done for the team, and I think he's led the team more than Doncic. Doncic.
Donkey.
Yeah. So I think Trae Young's been the better rookie, at least over the post All-Star break.
Right.
He's been the better rookie. I think pre-All-Star break, I still would have given it to Doncic, but it's going to be, I think that's probably the tightest award race.
Yeah.
Maybe MVP, but Rookie of the Year is going to be, I mean, it's like flip a coin and both are deserving. So
Right. So it's going to be, I think, obviously, I'm hoping John Collins doesn't put anyone on his super mega poster, but because he's capable of doing that. I didn't realize he was averaging almost 20.
Yeah.
So he's, along with Trae Young, he's going to be
Herder.
Yeah, he's going to be
# Big Ten product.
Going to be a guy to watch out for. Kent Bazemore always seems to kind of play well when he plays the Pacers, but can't forget about Jeremy Lin. Also, he's averaging. The Hawks have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys averaging double figures.
Yeah.
And then they also have, like you mentioned, the ageless wonder in Vince Carter.
It's probably his last game, if I had to guess. But he keeps saying he wants to play.
I was about to say, from what I heard, I heard him say he wants to play another year.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I mean, more power to him. I would love seeing Vince in the league, but at some point, doesn't your body just tell you enough is enough?
Apparently not to Vince.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think the Pacers finish with a win here. I could see a double-digit win to close out the regular season and, like we said, build some quote-unquote confidence going into the playoffs. But I was trying to grip the chair. I don't know what I was doing. My hand just slipped. But
happens to the best of us.
Right. So Pacers, in my opinion, close out the regular season back-to-back wins. In your mind,
I'd hoped as well. I think the Pacers need these 2 wins just to get some confidence and show that maybe we can compete with Boston in this series. So because right now they're 3-7 in their last 10.
Yeah, because like we talked about, it's gonna be Boston in the playoffs. I think we'll obviously know after when is that game on?
It's Wednesday.
The game against Atlanta's on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we will know the playoff schedule. I would assume the very next day,
Thursday or Friday. And then I think they start Saturday.
Yeah, the playoffs start Saturday, so the Pacers would either play Saturday or Sunday. So that could be very intriguing to.
Hopefully we're not on prime time.
Because the first round, some of their games are on like NBA TV and stuff like that. So we'll see where the Pacers and it's going to be the Celtics. So we'll probably get slotted on ESPN.
Yeah.
So we know how, especially this year.
Kristen
But hey, that's what I would.
Because if it's ESPN, they don't.
I don't think Fox Sports Indiana broadcasts. Do they broadcast the playoff games?
They do, unless it's like either ESPN or TNT. I forget which network it is, but if it's that network, they can't broadcast.
It may be TNT because I know Denary and Quinn Buckner broadcasted the game against Boston. Okay. I know that for sure because I was scourging Reddit for the Pacers broadcast because no offense to ESPN broadcasters, I just like our broadcasters a lot more.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Right, but well, I think that's where we're gonna leave it.
The somber end.
Yeah, just hoping that Pacers can close out these 2 games with
Hopefully
a
don't stumble into
win.
the playoffs.
Yeah, because that'd be the last thing that we'd want. Avoid injury. It's also going to be interesting to see these last two games if they rest any players.
I would want to rest DC, but I mean, it also makes sense to want to play him because we still have something to fight for, and we don't want to just roll over.
Right. Just how McMillan determines the rest for the starters is going to be crucial tonight and even Wednesday when we play the Hawks. So we'll see how that goes. But until next weekend when we could be down or up 1-0, hopefully it's up 1-0 if the Pacers play before then. But enjoy these last two games. I'm going to enjoy it tonight. But yeah, just enjoy the last two games and enjoy the first game of the playoffs. And it's playoff time. It's really
if all goes poor, just snuggle up in your bed and in a fetal position and just beg that Victor Oladipo comes back next year healthy.
And just grab your favorite flavor of ice cream and just start slowly eating it. And
it'll be okay. We'll make it through together.
And if the Pacers aren't doing too well, just root for chaos in the playoffs and hope Golden State gets upset or something crazy like that.
The meme with the puppet and the fire behind it was just like chaos.
Yeah, everything is fine. But we're going to leave it right there. But until next Sunday for when we're going to be talking playoffs because it's that time of the year. It's a fun time of the year.
March Madness hands the baton off to the NBA playoffs.
Right. Enjoy the March Madness games too because
Texas. I have a feeling it's going to be an ugly game.
Texas Tech versus real quick winner.
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. I'm going Michigan State just because I'm a Big Ten homer.
What do you mean?
Big Ten homer.
Texas Tech beat Michigan State last.
Why did I?
You mean Virginia?
Texas Tech versus. I don't even know who's playing the games.
Virginia. Yes.
Texas Tech versus Virginia. Are you saying Virginia just because they beat Purdue?
No, I'm saying Texas Tech. I'm tired of counting out Texas Tech. Every time I'm like, oh, they can't win. They win. So,
but I'm gonna go Virginia
because they shut down Cassius Winston. I think they shut down Cal Guy.
That's very true. So, all right, we're gonna hop off and leave it right there. But until next time, for Dylan Deanhart, I'm Cody Emerson. Go Pacers.